Okay, today's topic will be on Cybercrime 101, and I'm sure it's not news to every one of you here that developed economies such as Australia are very much an online nation. I mean, most of the things that we do are actually online. For example, your e-tax, internet banking, Facebook, and so on. And the prosperity and security of our nation is actually heavy reliance on the secure and resilient online environment. No doubt many of you have also read in various forums such as newspaper, journal, and conference articles that cyber attacks are no longer a matter of if, but a matter of when. When is it going to happen? So in the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to bore you with a general overview of today's cyber threat environment. And please stop me if I'm speaking too fast because I know I have a foreign accent, so it might be a bit hard to understand. And I'm sure the figure that you see on the slide is not new to you, and it's something that you have come across in your uni studies numerous times. Yes, whenever we introduce new technologies into the market and into the user space, we may unwittingly create crime opportunities. For example, how many of us here use Facebook? I'm sure many of us, yes, including myself. Why do you use Facebook? So why do you use Facebook? Any reasons?
Just social.
Yes, just for sharing, that's right. Because we can actually, there's real-time sharing with friends about what we are going to do or what we have done over the past weekend. We can also share about the places we have been to or we are going to planning to travel, and also possibly the good and bad news of the day. For example, I have a very good day today. I just want to announce to the world. And also stay in touch with friends who are actually interested in overseas. Like in my case, because I'm from overseas, so I still stay in touch with my colleagues or my former friends from overseas using Facebook. And of course, social networking sites such as Facebook is actually cool because you can meet friends very easily. You can meet friends with a complete stranger at the other side, at the other end of the world by just clicking on an add friend request. And if he or she accepted you, both of you are friends. Good, one more friend. And of course, there are free games. And also, of course, there are other benefits and pros and cons. In fact, a newspaper article yesterday, as I was reading before I came out for this seminar, reported that the names and unique web addresses of more than 100 million Facebook users who actually set their accounts to be publicly accessible. I'm sure you know that your Facebook account can be public or private to your friends only or your contacts only. Those 100 million users who actually set their accounts to be publicly accessible will actually harvest and upload to a publicly available website by a security researcher. So what does that mean? It means that anyone who knows these unique web addresses, for example, www.facebook.com/Raymond Choo is my unique web address, will be able to view my pictures, my friends, the pictures of my friend as well, and also information about me and my friend, etc., even if I later decide to switch my account to private. So this is one of the risks of Facebook. And of course, there are other risks as well. Can we have a show of hands if you or someone you know have been victims of cyberbullying on new media channels such as Facebook, SMS, MMS, or Twitter? Okay, right? Is this surprising? Well, maybe not, because bullying has been going on for quite a while. So it just has moved on from a physical world to the online world. And I'm not sure how many of us here actually watch the American TV series Lie to Me or have the ability of the genius psychologist. For those who watch, you'll be aware that the star of the show is actually Dr. Carl Lattman. He's able to determine whether someone is being truthful or is lying simply by observing his body language or micro-expression. But I'm sure, I don't have that capability, but I'm sure that someone like him is actually in the minority. This is hard to do in the real world, but what about the online environment? How can you actually tell someone is telling the truth in the online environment? For example, I'm just an old, not so articulate, not so good-looking guy in camera, but in the online environment, I can actually reinvent myself as the most good-looking and most articulate, the best you can find guy in camera.
No need, right?
Yeah, too kind. So how can you actually distinguish whether the person that you're chatting to or the person that you're talking to is actually who they claim they are? It's very hard. So I'm sure that, I think one of the participants over here pointed out the child sex exploitation risk. I'm sure that many of you have come across many cases where complete strangers in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and even 60s, pretending to be a 14-year-old boy and trying to befriend a 14-year-old girl. I'm sure we all have a good idea what is the motive behind this. Most of you are aware cybercrime is really broad. So it covers from fraud against individuals, fraud against government agencies, against businesses, to malware, there's malicious software, to hacking, online trial exploitation, cyberbullying, cyber stalking, and so on. And many of these categories that you see on the slide are actually interlinked. For example, malware can be designed to compromise computers belonging to either you or me to actually facilitate fraud against individuals, companies, or even government agencies. And hacking can also be done for the purpose of sexual exploitation, as you see in the next slide. How many of you have come across this article? It's quite recent. It's only posted 19th of July. No? Okay. So earlier this month, an individual was actually arrested in Germany over allegation that he used malware to actually compromise computers belonging to home users like us, with the aim of spying on the users of these computers via the built-in webcams of the laptops that we use. I'm sure many of your laptops actually have built-in webcams that's just sitting in front of the screen. So according to newspaper article, computers belonging to 150 or more youngsters were actually compromised. Is this an isolated case? Yes, no? Is this an isolated case? Do you think this is the one and only? No, definitely not. As a matter of fact, earlier this month, a computer consultant was actually charged for a similar offense in the US. This is a case in Germany, and another case same month in US. According to the media release by the US Department of Justice, the accused person actually used peer-to-peer software to infect more than 100 computers with malware that actually allowed him to take over control of the computers, of the compromised computers, basically to take over control of the built-in cameras, access the pictures and data stored on those computers for the sole purpose of extortion. So he actually emailed the owners. Most of them are actually female victims, juvenile female victims, saying that, look, I'm going to expose your data to the world unless you send me sexually explicit videos of yourself. So this case is actually before the court. And could this happen to any one of us here? Possibly, although although I don't think they're interested in me. In fact, malware has constantly been ranked as one of the key cyber threats to businesses, governments, and individuals in both Australia and overseas. Just last year, the number of new malware signatures is reported to be just under 3 million, which is a 71% increase over 2008, which is a year before. And in fact, studies by not only Microsoft and also, but also by other academics and companies also indicated that the threat landscape in Australia was dominated by malware. As you can see on the statistics on the slide, the threat landscape in Australia was actually, malware actually accounts for 3/4 of all threats detected on infected computers in Australia for the whole of 2009, the whole of 2009 calendar year. So malware is actually one of the key threats to us. So you may ask, how does malware get onto our computer? Because there's vulnerabilities in the software and the hardware that we use. I'm not sure how many of us actually update our antivirus signature regularly, like once a week, once a month, or never. Who actually update your antivirus signature once a week? Oh, good. Once a month? Never? Okay. Yes. Yes, to compromise our computers, malware typically exploit the vulnerabilities that in the hardware and the software that we use. And why do vulnerabilities exist in the hardware and software that we buy? Because when we buy those systems, they are supposed to be what they claim, secure. But why do the vulnerabilities exist? And why do we need to patch our systems so regularly? Because there's a gap between theory and practice, and I'm sure you understand. In theory, a system or a hardware is supposed to perform what it claims it's supposed to do. But in practice, the hardware or software only does exactly what its code or the environment that is deployed and the settings tells it to. And also the difference exists because systems are increasingly complex. It used to be a case when you can run a software on a 486 computer, but now you have to run it on Pentium, and so on. Because software are getting increasingly complex and hence more memory intensive.